They don't care. Oh my goodness. So I came across this clip of Bakari sellers, a black man, and two white Jewish men named Ben Shapiro and Bill Maher. And they are tag teaming, attacking Bakari sellers on him trying to help them understand systemic racism. And I think that image alone is emblematic of this country. It truly is. And the more you know about the history of this country, the more you understand that they don't care, that they know what's going on. They just simply don't care to do anything about it. So what they try to do is feign ignorance. And that was precisely what was going on in this clip. Because you have Bakari sellers trying to tell them, hey, systemic racism is an issue and it's still going on today. And you, of course, you have a thin-skinned Ben Shapiro who's talking about, well, you really want to say that it's worse for 1954? Okay, you think it's worse in 1954 than it is now. Which one is it?
About systemic racism, and most times
has it gotten worse since 1960?
Yes, actually.
Systemic racism has gotten worse since Jim Crow.
Yes. So you want me to give you a stat? Black home ownership today is less than it was pre-Fair Housing Act of 1968.
And Bakari says, well, I don't have to think about it. I can ask my father, who was alive during then. And he says it's very similar. Same thing.
Bakari, is your life as a black man better or worse than it would have been if you had been born in 1920 in the United States?
Well, all you have to do is ask my father, who literally was shot in the Orangeburg Massacre, right? Who helped found SNCC, who marched with Marion Barry and Stokely Carmichael and Martin Luther King, and the list goes on and on and on. And he will tell you today that he feels like this country's at 1954.
I want you to even address just the intellectual dishonesty of that question, right? Think about this for a second. Think about this. He's asking, is it worse during 1954, right? Is it worse now than when it was during 1954? That is such an intellectually dishonest question. And let me give you an example. And the point that Bakari sellers tries to make is a point that many black Americans have tried to make since we got here, which is what they want is for us to die in silence. That's what they want. Anytime we have complaints, valid grievances, if they don't believe it's valid, no matter what the data is, they will dismiss it. They will call you a victim and they will blame you. You're in the position you're in, that's because of you. You get a white American who says the same damn thing, they'll say, hey, it's the president's fault. Hey, it's the governor's fault. Hey, it's the mayor's fault. They will always deflect blame onto someone else. But when it comes to black Americans, 10 out of 10, it is always our fault. Always, okay? And I want you to understand what they are advocating for is a superficial change. Because if you talk about the 1954s and Jim Crow, all that, the only thing that has changed is a superficial change. That's it. Whether it comes to incarceration, whether it comes to discrimination, whether it comes to lynchings, do you understand? We had Ahmaud Arbery that if the GBI had not done anything, had not actually done an investigation, those two saltines, those two racist bastards would have gotten away with it because they were all buddy-buddy with law enforcement. So when you have, Ben Shapiro say this ignorant, asinine statement such as that, it goes to show that he has no purpose except to fulfill his bias, to fulfill, hey, it doesn't exist, despite the surmounting evidence to the contrary. And then, to add insult to injury, as Bakari sellers is trying to explain to them, you have Bill Maher, this POS, okay, looking like rotten milk, come out and say, well, there's two ways to miss it, okay? There's two ways to miss it. There's one, either you're too far away, and me and Shapiro, we're not black, okay? We're not black, so it's hard for us to speak on it. But there's also another way, and that means you're too close.
I cannot talk about it because I am not part of a group. I am a sentient human being. You're right. There's two ways you cannot understand something. One is to be too far from it. We're too far from it. We can't see like you can. One is to be too close to something. And then sometimes you can't see it accurately either.
What on God's green earth does that mean? What? This is what I'm talking about. They say words and they think they say something. This man has gotten so used to his farts, which is his audience, which is nothing more than a bunch of seals going, that he thinks he says something of merit. He thinks he says something that's intelligent. You're going to say, so, because I want you to understand what he is practically saying. He's saying, I'm white and I say so. That's what he means by that. Whereas you can't tell me about the black experience. I'm white and I say so. That's essentially what he's saying. He's saying, hey, I know I'm not black, but you're black, so that means you're too close to the issues. So if the black person can't tell you about the experience and the issues that are going on, and you're too far away, you admit you're too far away, but yet somehow your view supersedes the black person's view, it's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, bro. It's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And the fact that we have this absolute racism on screen and people applauding lets me know that we are getting to desperate times. We don't need people like Bill Maher, and we sure as hell don't need people like Ben Shapiro. Candace Owens will tell you that much. There will be nothing made with the mindsets of these people because they don't want to know the truth. You have to understand. So when we talk about redlining, Bakari Sellers talks about, hey, that when it comes to black women and birth rates, that they're perishing in the hospitals due to racism, due to bias, that you believe that black women's pain is less significant than white women's pain.
So, for example, one of my major political issues is African-American female mortality, right? If you want to talk about structural racism. Did you know, I'm sure you do, but black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die during childbirth than white women.
That's also true in Europe, by the way. That's also true in Europe, by the way. That's also true in Europe, by the way.
And Shapiro, once again, tries to say, well, that's not the truth. That's not the case, because if you look at Europe and everything, and Bakari, he tries to let him know that, hey, it has nothing to do with low income. Because that's what he tries to say. Well, it has to do with low income, actually, that, the social medium is...
And so tell me why that is.
Okay, the answer is because black people in the United States have a lower household income, median household income.
This man talks a mile a minute and says nothing of value. Says nothing of value. Bakari says that, hey, that's not the case. Because when you look at the data, that my wife, who I'm assuming that he's of a certain tax bracket, so Serena and every other black woman has experienced the same exact issue.
But that
hospitals,
I would call bullshit because it actually crosses across socioeconomic lines. So you can be my wife who almost died during childbirth. You can be Serena Williams who almost died during childbirth.
So what's your answer?
Because actually...
White doctors are racist?
No, but there actually is implicit bias in our healthcare delivery system.
Does Ben Shapiro say anything to that? No. He doesn't say anything to that. Well, all he says is, well, what do you think is the issue? And then what do you think is the issue? Well, Ben, let me see if I could break it down to you in, terms that your mindset would understand. If a Jewish person somehow happened to perish, upon, going into this facility, all right, and they just happen to perish at a significantly higher rate than non-Jewish people, what would you say is possibly the issue? Huh? What would be the conclusion for you? Because I know the conclusion when Candace Owens was saying what she was saying was that, well, she just has a different point of view. You went immediately to anti-Semitism. It's anti-Semitism. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about, these hypocrites, these demons, these lineage of evil. Because they are so charitable when it has nothing to do with them. When it has something to do with them, right? When their skin is in the game, they don't waste any time. They're not even thinking about, I'm going to apply some charity to what she says. Immediate anti-Semitism. Immediately. They don't even think, well, maybe that's not the case. Maybe she's actually, she's just bringing about conversation. Anti-Semitism. This is what I'm talking about. This is the hypocrisy. Okay? This is the hypocrisy. And these aren't Ethiopian Jews. These aren't black Jews. These aren't Indian Jews. These are white Jews. So you can miss me with that argument because they all seem to go in line with the same narrative. They all seem to go in line with the same narrative. And it always is attacking black Americans. It's always trying to demean and undermine our pain in this country that has never been addressed. Because you want to know why? They simply dismiss it. Time and time and time again, it's not real. It's not real. Get over it. Lift yourself up the bootstraps. Oh, the race car. Everything. They've created so many ways to try and diminish and gaslight us. It's beyond the pale. It truly is. And to see these two saltines talk to Bakari Sellers, trying to somehow make him feel that he's delusional, right? That he's looking at this from the wrong perspective. This is foolishness, man. This is foolishness. We shouldn't have to deal with this. We shouldn't have to deal with this. The only thing they have done as far as representation, and it's the same thing that Democrats want to do. They want to say, hey, we're not like them. We'll give you black representation via a black face. Their mind will think as the white liberal does, but their face, look, at least you got some representation. That's the only thing that they've done. Instead of, like they said, instead of them wearing Klans robes and everything, they're now wearing suits and ties. Instead of it being law, right? Whereas, hey, you black person, you can't do that. They're now just as far as interpreting it as such, right? It's no longer the law. They just interpret it that always in a way that doesn't benefit you, always. Or they make regulations and enforce it on your black butt, or enforce it on your black community. So nothing very much has changed. As a matter of fact, it's actually gotten worse thanks to the propaganda of people like Ben Shapiro. Can you imagine Ben Shapiro talking about systemic racism that doesn't exist for black people as he funded an anti-black racist documentary by a Sambo that he paid, that he then fired because he didn't like her now criticizing his people, Jewish people? Can you imagine that type of hypocrisy? It's truly something to behold. Maybe it's a superpower, okay? Maybe that's their superpower for Bill Maher and the Ben Shapiros of the world. That they have a superpower to deflect and have cognitive dissonance. Maybe that's their true superpower on this planet. Because all I know is that they seem to come here to kill, steal, and destroy. That's all I know. And that's what it seems that they're doing a very, very fine job at doing. Anyways, guys, that's the video. Let me know what you guys think. There really is no either or here. There really isn't. If you truly understand history, if you truly understand the mindset of people like this, of these deplorables, then there really isn't any argument. I'm still waiting for the good white people. Where are the John Browns of this country? Because I haven't seen them. I haven't seen any John Browns. I haven't seen any of the good white people who as far as would be allies, who as far as would call out these people for their racism. I haven't seen them, okay? And if they are there, their voice is it's either being censored or they're muted. It's as simple as that. So, and that's not to say that we need a white savior or anything like that, but at the same time, listen, these are your people. Some sort of governance of people that represent you, that spew such heinous rhetoric. Ignorant rhetoric at that. So, but anyways, if you happen to disagree, you know where to find me. Friday through Sunday, disagreement day. You call in, we'll duke it out. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please feel free to like, share, comment. Let me know what you guys think, and subscribe, and all that fun stuff. Till next time, guys, be amazing.
That's also true in Europe, by the way.